The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the top 5 conversation starters to generate new business. So we have been doing a couple of big boot camps lately, and some corporate training events, and just working with our clients and students out there. And so as we've been coming across this, it was like, you know, it occurred to us that just people were having trouble, you know, starting conversations and generate new business. So we want to give you a little bit of a foundation on this, and then we're going to go ahead and get into where to start those conversations and give you an idea. And so again, please take, you know, if this is your first time with us, we want you to take lots of notes. We're going to cover a ton of content in here, and we promise you great value. And if you take things away, you know, today and put them into action, we'll give you some assignments at the end so that you can really just begin to experience what it's like to generate results out of LinkedIn. Now, when my name is Dean Delisle. I'm founder and CEO of Forward Progress, and my passion, I develop a lot of the curriculum here as well, and we have a whole team that supports me on this. We have a coaching and training division which handles our events, our workshops, things like this. We do a ton of webinars, web-based classes. We work with a lot of associations and corporations, and coming in and doing their training and coaching their department and their sales teams. My biggest passion is you know, community building, building trust, generating referrals, and turning that into new business. So everything that we talk about has the intent of conversion. So I want you to think about what I just said, the intent of conversion. So we'll speak a little bit in more detail about this as we get into certain pieces, but the idea here is to make sure that we're always converting, and we're approaching our 80,000th student, trained professional, and it looks like we're on pace to hit that by Halloween. So I just want to welcome everybody, and we also have a services department where we build social media pages, and we build profiles, and we post over 10,000 pieces of content, whether it's blogs. We do blog creation, blog content. We do this for so many folks, and it's just a delight to see what's working and what's not working. So what's unique about Forward Progress is that we have this sort of services division in building websites and even doing campaigns on marketing and things like that, and building communities. So we see what's working and what's not working. And then on the coaching and training side, all of our coaches and trainers get to go, oh, okay, so we can train and coach people on how to convert at this point of the website, or this point of LinkedIn, or this part of Twitter or Facebook. And then the services, then on the coaching and training side, we get to do the research, because you guys give us great data in our classes to go back to the services side and say, hey, guess what we learned, what these folks are doing. So it's a great collaboration, and hopefully you'll find value, as many of our clients and students have. Now, just so that you can engage with us on this, we ask that you turn your cell phone off, maybe close your email just for a little bit of this, and remove all distractions. So as I close my office door, turn off my cell phone, put my phone on Do Not Disturb, it just allows you to absorb many of the things that we're going to cover here. Now, this may be new to some of you, and I see some familiar faces in here, and I see a lot of new folks. So I want to welcome all the new folks, and then welcome back, of course, our community that is rejoining us again for another class here. So if you have a Mac or you have a PC, it doesn't matter. On the bottom, there's these little flowers here, and if you ever lose our screen, you can click on that little daisy or that little flower, and bam, pop us right to the top of the screen. It's real easy to do. And then if you want to communicate with us, we're recording this session so that we can give it to you afterwards, and we'll tell you at the end how that works. But when you go in and you want to communicate with us, we have Stephen, who's monitoring all the questions with us today. So thank you, Stephen, for being there in the production booth and helping to monitor these questions. Now, just so that we know that you can find it, please type in just say hello real quick and tell us what part of the country you're from, or what part of the world. I noticed we had a couple different countries on with us today, and I want to welcome everybody. And we're broadcasting from Chicago, and I see some Chicago friends like Jessica and Joe. We have Brooklyn, Ellie from Brooklyn. We have Rockton, Florida, Montreal, Canada, welcome. We have Chicago, Greenville, South Carolina, welcome. Morris County, New Jersey. We have Michigan, Florida, Indiana. Wow, you guys are on this. Charlotte, North Carolina, Northwest Indiana, Milwaukee, Queens, New York. Awesome. Great to have everybody in today. Racine, Wisconsin. We have, looks like we have Jamaica on with us today. We also have Italy on with us. Welcome. Germany. Yep, Germany as well. Welcome. So anyway, welcome to everybody that's with us today, and again, this is a global event, and welcome to this class. So when we look at social networks, you know, we always want to see, well, where do we stand, right? Because we have all these connections, and this is what's baffling, is like we'll go in and I'll be scanning. I was scanning many of you, and some of you have like 100 connections, some of you have 1,000 connections. I think I had a few of you that had almost 7 or 8 or 9,000 connections, right? And yet sometimes it just looks like a sea of names or a sea of, and we really don't get the essence that this is, you know, sort of a relationship building type thing where if we can build some trust, we can get, you know, referrals on a daily basis. I mean, just type in, I just want to get a sense for the people that like would love to wake up and have 1 referral a day sitting in their inbox. I mean, who doesn't want that, right? You know, and so that's what we do in our coaching and training programs. We generate the effect, and this is what we want to share with you today, is that you can have that. You can have that where, bam, you open up and you're like, yes, you know, it just feels good. It's like, oh, intro, you know, like you see that in the subject line, intro, I have another intro for you. And it's really a mutual introduction where it's not just this, hey, go call this person, but you're in enough relationship that they're like, hey, do you want me to go to the meeting with you? I'd love to include you on this 3-way business meeting so that we can generate, you know, relationship together. So we're going to take you into some of the nuggets of this as much as we can in the short time we have today. So, and again, make sure you take lots of notes, please. Even though this is recorded, you may not go back and watch it. I want you to walk away with 2 or 3 things. Now, the issue that we see is that you guys are doing a good job with connections and postings and content and all that cool stuff, but you're not generating enough results. So what we want to get you to is sort of take you away from this, I don't know, since technology, and again, I've been around a little bit for a while, over 35 years, and I've seen the evolution of, you know, even back in the DOS days when email first came out and we had fax blasting and people were just pushing stuff out there. Well, you know, depending on your message and your hook and how all that works, that's nice, that's marketing. We do a lot of relationship-based marketing, and as much as we do it, we're always looking at, well, but, you know, this is about social networking. This is about people, and this is about a 2-way communication where we want to build trust and community and generate that feeling like it's safe for people to give us a referral. I want you to feel like we're doing such a great job that you just know that Dean Delisle and his team is going to take care of you over here at Forward Progress. I want you to feel that, know that, and you want that so that your clients see that in you. And this is huge if you get this game, because this is where the referrals are flowing in, and we have thousands of students to prove it, but we want to make sure you're getting the essence of how this works. So the real magic here is that you want to create this interaction or this engagement, right? One of the primary things you need to be measuring is engagement. Now, a lot of you measure based on connections or reach, and we'll talk about that. But we want you to also measure engagement. How many people are interacting with you, right? And then we're going to get into why that's so important. But when we look at social networks, we want to take you out of LinkedIn for a second and have you understand that this is no different than your chamber or your country club. In fact, maybe just type in for me real quick, what type of social networks outside of the internet do you belong to? You know, what type of groups and clubs? I'm always curious with the ones that people like really see as their social network hubs, right? Where you meet people and you have trust, right? Big trust. Just type in whatever you are part of and what connections you have. So I have some associations. I was just on with one of our associations a little while ago. Meetup groups, yes. Political organizations, there you go. Professional industry organizations, you guys are rocking it today. Business networking event groups, I love those as well. Alumni group, that's huge. Amber, nice job. Church, chamber, women's networking group. Laurel is on the move. She's got meetup groups, industry groups, church choir, yes. My kids are in theater, and I'm telling you, man, that is one crazy group of people, but there are professionals in that group, and because we spend a lot of time together, yes, the gym, great one, yeah, your health club, perfect. Barbershop singing, Steve, I love it. My son sings as well. Yeah, absolutely, and my daughter sings. I shouldn't leave that out. They've been doing the national anthem. That's their thing lately. So awesome, and we love barbershop. So great job, everybody. So this is the community and the feeling that we want you to have when you're in LinkedIn, when you're online. We want you to feel that connection of the same connection that you feel at the gym. In fact, if you write down some of those that you belong to, a lot of those do exist online, and so we want to cross the line where we're in, like you can even do this in Facebook. Just Google or just type in, the fact that, you belong in a group over here, and you also can belong in a group online, and you can carry that along. In fact, I can't get into it now, but there's so many cool things we do with events and conferences that sustain the great conversation and camaraderie that you have at the meetup group way beyond the meetup group. So it's the before, during, and after experience together that wires you even more to that group. A lot of religious organizations do this well. A lot of health clubs do this well. So we want you to build that around you and your business, right? And some of you have seen this before where we talk about networking sort of beyond the one-to-one, beyond the Dean and Sue here, building connection and rapport. And I see some of my students in here, so I don't want you cheating on this, but how many interactions? So Jillian, if I'm with you or Heather or Joe or whoever I'm with, if I'm with you, how many interactions, and we just met for the first time, how many engagements, engagement points, whether it's email, face-to-face, cups of coffee, how many times are we going to have to get together till you give me a really good referral, like one of your best referrals? Not just, hey, here's a name, but like a real good introduction, a trust-based referral. How many interactions on average does that take? Look at Tom, he's right on it. How many interactions? I'll let you guys type this into the questions area there. So go ahead. So yes, so I've got 3 to 4, 5, 7, at least 6. Yes, the global average, right, wavers between 6 to 10, depending on the industry, depending on, you guys are right there. Everybody's on 7. Yes, so now what we do is we want to look at the conversations that we can have in social networking like LinkedIn so that we can not only reach Sue, but we can reach her entire depth of her network, because this is where the referrals, the magic happens, right? In fact, Stephen, I want to highlight that over here a little bit better, because I'm telling you the gold is out here. Even though this is the gold in the direct connection in the relationship, the real gold is out here, because it is amazing how many people we're tracking globally that are coming from these outer layers, both for, like, I don't care if it's an event, I don't care if it's a resource or a meeting, and that's what we're going to show you next, how to attract those people. So when we look at, 3,000 connections. I had to find an average because you guys were like all over. I had like 9. I think I had somebody on with us that has 12,000 connections. So let's just say, you have 3,000 connections. And Stephen, we should have that 400 connection slide up here too. But 3,000 connections brings you 15 million professionals, right? So we have, and I think 400 connections brings you about 4.2 million professionals, okay, in terms of how many people you're actually connected to by this 2 and 3 degrees. So that's quite a bit. And if you look on your main page on LinkedIn, it'll show you these numbers. And the other number it'll show you is every 3 days, you're on pace for another 3, 4, 5, 10, 20,000 people that are networking and connecting. In fact, I wish in our class yesterday we were showing people where you can actually see the wiring and the connecting taking place. It's really fascinating. It's like walking into a room, like at your chamber event, and watching people just interacting, and you're like, oh, you know, I know Dave, there's Dave Anderson, or I know Barbara, there she is right over there, and you walk over and you're amongst, you know, some people that you know and some new people that are cool to know, that you want to know, that are perfect targets for you. And sometimes you even get a referral right in the circle that you're talking, right? Have you guys ever experienced that where you're at a networking event and people go, I want to introduce you to this person? You know, Lance is a great person at this, and Justice is great at this, and you get the referral right in the circle of the conversation, right? Yeah, Steve's like several times in the past month. Well, that's why we want to get you into the conversation here, and you can we're going to get you access to the slides, you know, to do that, so that you can actually get in there. So now we look at, you know, the stats and the growing, and it's just amazing how many people are getting this. And people are getting, you know, and it's like folks like us that are helping people get that engagement part down so that there's more conversations. Now, the first conversation, and Steve, make sure you're monitoring these questions that are coming out. Looks like we have some good questions. I may get to them, but we'll make sure everybody gets handled in the back, you know, at the back end of this, so we'll make sure everybody gets handled. But the first conversation here is your profile. Now, we always say, do you have a social or a conversational profile, right? So what we want you to do is pretend like your profile is you, and you're walking into the room. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, you ever do that where they have you stand up and they say, oh, give us your elevator pitch, or, you know, just, you know, describe yourself, your name, and, you know, what you do. And so you have that quick shot, right? Well, this headline here is your first conversation, right? And people should get a sense just by looking at you, looking at your photo, reading your summary of what you will do for others. Why and how? Like, what is the evidence and the credibility? What do you want and need, and what, you know, what do you tell them, right? So you know, think about this in terms of the conversation. Hi, my name is you know, Barbara Ziegler. My name is Carlene Lewis. My name is Joe Skopka. You know, you want to be able to just be clear. This is what I do, and this is why I'm your new expert in the room. Right? And this is all your credibility and reputation. In fact, we've been gauging, both from small business professionals to Fortune 500, we've been monitoring and polling the amount of credibility on the referral side, the person referring people to you. And one of the biggest pieces is this credibility and reputation of the person that's making the referral. And there's a lot of networking going on that's been going on, especially when the economy went south, man. Networking groups went way up in terms of attendance, and as well as social networks, right? So now all of a sudden you get to that point where you're like, you know, you get to that point where you're like, oh man, I'm going to refer this person. Well, guess what? One of the first things they do now is they Google the person's name, or they look up your LinkedIn profile. And this is your credibility and reputation as well as the other person's. So that's part of relationship and trust, is mutuality. If you look good online, it's the same way that you're going to dress well when you go to the meeting. Right? So real quick, I just want to get a sense, and this isn't, yes, on your profile. Do you have a complete LinkedIn profile? I'm just going to put a polling question. Now, this isn't where you type into the questions area. I have a blue screen up, and I just want to know 100%, you know, like you guys are really solid, and that you have you feel real good about your profile. And I'm not calling anybody out here. We'll just do this as a national or global polling, just so we can see where the country and the world's at on LinkedIn. So we're always at about 50-50, and I'm going to cut this at about 30 seconds. We're at 24 seconds. I'll give you a few more seconds. It looks like it's on everyone's screen. It's saying 100% displayed. And there we go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and we have most of you in. So there we go. So now we have 58% yes, 42% no. So I'll share that with everybody just so you can see sort of where everybody came in at. So you're not alone if not, okay? And now we call this a living profile. Web 2.0 means that it's living and breathing, the content. and you can look and see your profile strength. But even more importantly, we want to make sure that you're clear in your first conversation. So when you go in and you're talking to people, it's like this is their first impression. It's like, who is this person that Denise referred? Who is this person that Edmund referred, right? So they will go in and they will look. Now, a lot of times we get feedback because we have a profile writing team here that's just amazing. And so they will optimize your profile, get it found, but then also make it social so that it's a conversation. And this is something that, we teach in a lot of our building classes that people miss. So they like, wow, I have a complete profile. I filled out everything. But is it conversational? Is it communicating the real you and the expert that you can be? And then there's all these new sections that I want to make sure that on the right-hand side of your profile that you're looking at, that you can see that you should add. Like, do you do projects? Maybe there's projects that you're working on that you're, every time we build a blog site or a website or social media sites, we really try to, get, any type of good project that we're doing, we try to really get that listed now in our LinkedIn profiles. And then we have like publications, like if you published any publications. And publications, this is one of our ebooks that a lot of you downloaded, the 9 things you need to do before you log in. We publish that, so I put that in my LinkedIn profile. Some of you volunteer and sit on boards. That tells me a lot about the type of person that you are, and now they have a section for that. All of this is a conversation and a trust-building experience. In fact, again, as we're pulling people that are making the referral, not only is the person, making judgments based on that's giving you the referral, because so much of it's online now, so we're out there. Now we have the flip side of this where the person that received the referral is checking all this out. There's also the reflection of skills. Now, this is a conversation because if the skills that you're being recommended for, right, if the skills you're being recommended for are at the bottom, this is a signal to the person, that is your skill ranking. Now, we have some people, we have about 50% of the people really that are looking at the skills, right? They're making it down the profile and looking at the skills. However, what's interesting, and we don't want you to accept everybody's skills, but as you're having this conversation, it's like, well, what are you really good at? Well, I'm good at lead generation and social media marketing, whatever that conversation is. You want to make sure that those make it to the top. So it's okay to ask your network, and this is a great conversation too. It's like, hey, are you on LinkedIn? Great. Would you mind going into my profile and just acknowledging me for what you think I'm good at? And it's so funny because a lot of times as they're clicking on your profile, and you can do this for others too, this is a two-way street, it generates exposure into the 2 and 3 degrees of separation that we showed you, that social reach, and allows the conversation of this reflection of skills, we call it, acknowledgement of skills and endorsement, to show up in the network, especially if you're a high integrity individual and you're working with people in mutuality. So it's just another new place. Now, nothing works on the internet like you talking, a video, okay? So this cool thing about you, in fact, we even, we're always changing up our video game, and we have a new video game we're cranking out next week where we're going to begin to do weekly videos, okay? Not only is that going to generate our search engine optimization, it's just so doggone easy to do. I can light up my monitor, right, and just start shooting a video. I could do it right now if I wanted to, if I wasn't afraid the internet might crash on us. So as we do this, I want you to just hold the possibility of you taking your iPhone or your Android and just speaking to your audience. And it depends who your audience is, but visualize your audience and start the conversation with a video. People love videos. It's infectious. That's why Pinterest and YouTube and Instagram are through the roof, right? And that's why Vine took off in such a short period of time. So think of all the cool possibilities of what you could say, because you guys are magic, right? A lot of you said networking events, meetup groups. You're out there. You're talking anyway. Start talking in your network and get this into your profile, right? And just look at those options. Now, this is the other side of another conversation. Okay, so the video, the profile speaks while you're sleeping, while you're in bed, while you're out at a meetup group, while you're not logged in. Your profile is talking without you. It's giving a signal one way or another. Remember, we measure this. It's global. It's not just Chicago, Milwaukee, Florida, New Jersey. It is global in terms of emotional, social, and emotional intelligence and how people respond. When you post, you are talking, right? A share is supposed, it says share and update. Really, it should say, just like it does in groups, start a discussion, because you're supposed to visualize the people in your network, right? The people in your network have faces. They're people. They're human beings, right? And you need to start a conversation, and you want to show your personality and your style. You know, you don't want to be so buttoned up that you seem unapproachable. So this is a conversation, right? Even if you're recommending something, you know, it'd be like you walking into a meetup group and you find a great article, right? We always say, you know, we have like 4 or 5 key categories of you providing business tips or value and articles and things like that. But start a conversation around that. Right? So when you walk in, say, look, I just saw this great article in USA Today and I thought you would like it because, you know. So just do that in a conversational, experiential type of way. And again, we're always looking for insights here. So if you have your favorite open or your favorite post, we'd love to acknowledge you as you guys chime in and give us some of those ideas and things that you do that you go, man, when I do this, it generates a big result. Now, the reason it generates a result is because you're being social, because you're in relationship with your network. If you're not in relationship with your network, there's people we start off with that have been posting and adding people forever, but they don't get any likes, they don't get any comments, they don't get any shares, because they're not in dialogue or conversation or relationship with their network. Right? So this is what you want to work on. You want to look and you want to go, man, you know, what's that emotion, that emotional connection when you're talking and somebody's in their cell phone not paying attention to you? What do you feel? Just throw out some feelings that happen with that. What's the emotional connector that happens in that conversation? Right? Yeah, you're sad, you're upset, right? And what happens when you post and nobody likes your post? Ignored. Good one, Tom. Yeah, and then there's a primary emotion that comes up where you're either hurt or upset, right? And there's that primary emotion. Well, those emotions, right, those primary emotions, when you post something and people don't acknowledge you, you feel ignored, you get hurt, you get sad. Yeah, what am I doing? You start questioning your ability and your ability to network to the point where you're like, I'm not logging in, nobody's paying attention to me anyway. Right? When we have a workshop coming up about the 5 fears of social networking, and we have, you know, one of them is people have the fear of being ignored or that they don't matter, right? These are primal needs that we have as human beings. So the interesting fact is when we start looking at what is happening on the other side of this conversation. So you want to post and engage and monitor that people are paying attention to you, okay? And that's part of that conversation. Right? And you want to generate a like, a comment, and a share. Now, conversations happen in other places too. We look at adding conversations. So a lot of you said meetup groups, networking events, and you collect business cards. I have several here right in front of me. And as I'm looking at them, I'm like, you know, I always start the conversation either inside LinkedIn and I take it to the phone or to the coffee shop, and I start the conversation when I'm networking inside the room, and I start it there and say, are you on LinkedIn? Is it okay if we connect? And they're like, absolutely, you know, and I've really had nobody go, well, I don't connect with people on, you know, the first meeting. You know, I'm like, okay, you know, I've never really had anybody do that, but I imagine there's some that might be a little stuffier there that might go, I'm a little more guarded with my network, or they don't understand it. So, but for the most part, your rejection level should be really like at 1% or less here. But it's like, hey, are you on LinkedIn? Oh, great. Is it okay if we connect? And that conversation is started in the room, but then you also have to make sure that you continue it in the invitation. right? And so what we say is we'll give you these 5 tips here is be personal. Reference the meeting place. Was it a meeting in a meeting? Was it a meeting at a meetup group? Was it at the health club? Where did you meet? And reference the meeting. And then include, maybe something personal, I love the conversation about this. Now, you have some limited space here, but you also, want to set the context. Now, in order to take the conversation to a result, right, we said we're about conversion, you can set the appointment and add your phone number. So those are some other just quick tips. Again, we can't teach you everything in a short period of time. We're just trying to give you some nuggets that work. But when you start the conversation, I just want to make sure you get this. You start the conversation outside LinkedIn. You bring it in here, and now you're taking it back to a face-to-face meeting. Right, so you have 1 interaction, 2 interactions, 3 interactions, and then before the meeting we always say, go for 1 more interaction with those people. Now let's talk about conversation or interaction or engagement points, okay, because those all sort of mean the same thing, but that's what produces the results. Now, we always say congratulations. When you log in and you look at your home page, we say congratulations, right? This is your networking event. These are your people. It's like you just all of a sudden, you sent out a bunch of invites, evites, and everybody showed up to your networking event. Well, that's these people, right? When you log in, the home page is filled with this. And you see all the updates, and you can look at groups, shares, which are conversations and things like that. When you get in here, you have the option, again, to return that emotion, that connection, that wiring, so that you can build the relationships to pull in the referrals. And I'm telling you, even if you just get part of this game, it works tremendously. When you do that, you look for the people that you want to most engage with. Now, that should be the majority of the people in your network, but I know that a lot of us are testing this out and adding a ton of people and testing relationships, which we fully appreciate. However, when you do that, remember the emotional connection and wiring that when you like, comment, or share, that counts as an engagement or interaction point. Remember your number 7, you want to build trust to get the referral, right? That's a conversation. I like what you're doing. I like what you have to say, right? So when we look at this, see if I can get to this next point. I'll get to set the hook here. I just wanted to jump ahead and see, there was a couple different things I want to make, but I'll make them on this screen. So when you do this, you say, I like what you have to say. That's a conversation. Then when you jump into comment, that's more of a surface conversation. When you jump into comment, you're going to a deeper conversation. A lot of times a comment on LinkedIn, because of the emotional connection, is worth 2 or 3 conversations because of the attention. And when you share it, it's like, wow, Denise, I want to tell everybody about you and my network. And so think about that. And I see Daria is with us from Bootcom, and I might want to say, well, I want to tell everybody about bootcom.com. So I have that, option to do that and create that really good feeling that I'm sharing your organization with my entire network, right? My hundreds, thousands, millions of connections. So do you see where I'm going on this? Just give me a quick yes so I know I have everybody, because it's so important that you get how the conversation takes place even when you're not talking, because this is huge. I mean, you get this game, it's just so dynamic. Now, in our courses and in our training, because we actually have a second training class we have coming on here, and they're giving me the notice that we have like 15 minutes to go. And I still have some cool things I want to show you. But when we're teaching this, we teach about generating the results and then having the conversations or engagement points to make that conversion. So we give you this 20 minutes a day program that we've been doing forever. In terms of engagement, connection, and conversion. Now, those of you that have specific industries, specific targets. In fact, if you've ever been through any of our classes, you'll know that we really refine the target that you're talking to, and then we modify the profile to attract the target. Because think about this. Let's say Carlene's looking for an attorney for a certain type of project, right? She needs an attorney, a subject matter expert, whatever it is. Carlene, you're going to go into your network and you're going to search for that person, and you're going to type into the keywords, and then what LinkedIn is going to do is it's going to do its job. It's going to scan through the profiles and try to find the best person in your network that you're connected to, you know, that and bring that person to the top. Well, there's a science to doing this, right? And so one of the first things we do is we look at all that so that you can actually, you know, get a profile that shows up at the top of search so that you can wake up with a referral. Okay, and that's what people are using. Millions of people are using this advanced people search, or they're using the search up here. So I just did this as an example, but I type investment in. Maybe I have a client that's looking for an investment. You know, we're on our project now where we're looking for investors for Social Jack, our new platform, you know, that's growing faster than we can keep up with it. So we're looking for investors on that. Well, you type in investment, right? You can look in your network and say, oh, look at, I've got all these banking people in here, and I can just message them. They're in my network. I can just take it to that level. And Eli's asking, do you believe in paying to upgrade your account? I would say that if you're using even 50% of what we teach here, then maybe, you know, because you'll start hitting some limitations. But I have to have a really good case. We get this with our coaching clients. They ask us this all the time, and we have about 8% of our network, you know, our 80,000 that have upgraded for various reasons. So it's not a huge percentage, but we do see conditions where it applies. Now, don't forget, when you're in the conversation, set the hook, right? Get the person off the phone. Now, last but not least, just because I want to make sure I get to some of your questions. There's some good questions coming in here. When you are going into groups, right, there's all kinds of groups that you can search for, right? So when we look at these groups and you do a search in groups, you want to be able to find those conversations, to like, comment, right? You want to be able to find relevant discussions, that you can participate in. Okay, so think about how easy this is. Now, you can go up here and search for certain groups. And the amazing thing is, this doesn't work any different than what I just told you. Like, comment, and share, right? The only thing that's different is that you don't have to upgrade, right? You don't have to upgrade to actually have a conversation directly with anybody in your group. You basically can send a direct message. Right? So send a direct message back to those people. So that's what's sort of cool about this. You have the ability to have a direct conversation with anybody in here. And the way that you start that conversation in a group is that basically you say, oh, this is interesting. You know, you do a like and a comment, and you start the discussion online, and then we always say no more than 2 interactions, and then you convert that offline. Okay? So basically, it's like, I'd love to talk to you about this more. Could we have a conversation on the phone? Let's say Friday, either at 2 o'clock or, you know, Monday at 9 a.m. What works better for you? So you can put that out there as a continued discussion and then convert that off of there. But the starter is really just the like, the comment, and the share starts that conversation. So hopefully you get this. Now, real quick on our last class, and then I'll take some of these. I just want to get some data from you. We had people that were talking about the destination, right? So whenever you're in a conversation, think about where you're taking people, right? So you want to get your targets to your website and make sure that it converts into a referral, because some people don't respond, you know, all the time on LinkedIn. They want to go check you out. So your website should have a place that really speak to how you're going to, you know, how you're going to take, where you're going to take them next, how they're going to get started with you, how do they get more information. So when we did this last week, a lot of people were like, hey, you know what, can we get a website or do a website? And we're getting pretty booked up, but if you want to get a, you know, maybe there's a website or something that you want us to do, we don't sit here and call all of you after a webinar. We want to know what you guys are interested in. So up on your screen, yes, I'm going to get to a couple questions, then I'm going to actually guide you guys to a couple of other things here. But on your screen, if you've lost our screen, just click on that little flower. which service are you interested in? Because we don't want to bother you with things that don't make sense. So do you want to do business, product, or services campaigns? Do you want to do monthly social media and blogging services, like we write blogs for tons of people? What makes sense for what you guys need? Do you need a new website? Do you need a new microsite? Do you need more training and coaching? Right? Some of you want to do pay-per-click. You know, we do pay-per-click, and you can click on multiple ones. But, you know, this all depends on you, like what you need. And again, we don't want to, you know, bother those of you that are thinking about it or you're okay for now and things like that. We're not about that. We're about waiting till you're ready to make a move and you want to do something. So I'm going to leave this up for 10 seconds. Joanne's like, fill my funnel. Okay, we're going to fill your funnel, Joanne. Let's do that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. You guys are clicking like crazy, but I need to move through this. So I'm going to go ahead and everybody's spoken what they really need. Okay, cool. All right, thank you so much, guys, and we have everybody in on that, and I appreciate that. Okay, so let's go into this. Now, your assignment, before I get to a couple of questions here, and yes, we're going to get you to the slides and the recording. We'll make sure you get a copy of the recording to fix your profiles, right, because that's your first conversation. Then, you know, build your network. As you're having the conversation, remember when you're outside LinkedIn, continue the conversation as if you're across from that person. Be social, have meaningful conversations each and every day. And then only 20 minutes a day, because you want to be with the person in that dialogue more than you're on LinkedIn, okay? We can't emphasize that enough. That's part of our best practice with you. Now, just because a lot of you were saying, help me build my profile, you know, build my profile, take it to this point. We have a system like, what if you could have the ultimate profile? You could have access to all of our training library, right? We have over 100 videos, and we add videos every single week to our training library. It's like Twitter, Facebook, it's LinkedIn, it's business development, it's conversion, appointment setting. We also have live training classes on LinkedIn Basics, advanced sales training, like Joanne was saying, or Joan was saying, how do I, you know, fill my funnel, right? We also have network building and referral attraction classes, right? So we have all these classes. And so what we did is, we know that 2014 and the holidays are here. We wanted to make this affordable, as well as also have give you access, right, for anybody that signs up today, to one of our profile writing specialists, because we charge $149 and up for executive profiles to be written, and a lot of people just don't want to pay that or don't have that kind of cash to have us build profiles for their organization. So what we do is we have this cool bundle, right, where we are going to have this LinkedIn workshop. Okay, and you go to linkedin123.eventbrite.com, but we're not just going to do the how to build the ultimate profile workshop, which is 2 sessions. It's live, just like this, and interactive, right? It's going to be Thursday, November 7th from 10 a.m. to 11, and then Thursday, November 14th from 10 a.m. to 11. It's only $47. When you get the email on Monday, right? When you get the email on Monday, it's going to be $97, okay? But this one includes actually somebody in our profile department working with you building the ultimate LinkedIn profile. We also get you into the LinkedIn beginner classes recordings. You guys could start watching these right away, right? Yes, this is linkedin123.eventbrite.com. And then you could be building a solid network, right? Then we take you into defining your destination, network science, the referral machine. We take you into all 3 Social Jack classes. We get you into weekly coaching sessions, right? Now you get this, you get all these services. You get these for an entire year, all these videos. Okay, the coaching and training, you get weekly coaching, group coaching you can jump into, plus you get a one-on-one profile coach. That alone is worth the price of admission. So if you go to linkedin123.eventbrite.com, you don't just get the LinkedIn workshop pass, you know, where you have the 2 classes. We're going to give you the profile, the personal coach to help you review and build your profile. And then we're also going to give you all those other classes and access to those classes. So you get like almost 100 classes built into that. So let's say you just want to convert and fill your funnel. bam, go to like the conversion class or advanced sales class for LinkedIn. If you just want the basics, right, you can go and review as many times as you want how to build the ultimate profile. And the cool thing here is it's a blend of live classes and it's a blend of recorded classes. So why is that important? That's important because now you have a choice to be able to go and be with the instructor, and if you can't make the time, you could watch it 5 or 6 times, and then if you have a question, you come into one of our weekly group coaching sessions and you type in the question, and you guys can ask as many questions as you want. We fill up the whole hour with people that are coming in, and you learn from each other. So it is really just a cool, exciting place for you guys to go to learn and grow and to build your business. Right? So like when we do have social media accounts, right, monthly social media accounts, when we have those accounts, all of a sudden, you know, you guys can be in those accounts with us, and then on the flip side, you can learn and grow by attending the classes, and then we build your, fill your pipeline, grow your business, you know, let the world know, build community around you together. It's like a real partnership. So who's going to join us on the next class? I just want to see some yeses, nos, and then I'm going to answer a couple questions here. So I just want to see, because I love when you guys come into class, I start looking at your profiles. We meet as a team. You have a whole team involved on this, right? Yes, it's LinkedIn123.eventbrite.com. And don't wait till Monday, because we're allowing, you know, we can only afford for so many of these profile coaches to work with you. And I think we have about, you know, 10 slots in there, right? So please take advantage of that. And then on Monday, it's going to be $97, and we're going to see if we can. I'm not sure if we can keep the, you know, have everybody take, because we have about 540 students coming through the whole system. So I'm not sure we can do the profile coaches with everyone. But we do want those of you that are ready to roll, to rock and roll. Okay, let's answer some questions here. Yep, that's LinkedIn123.eventbrite.com. So now if I go to the questions, I did the upgrade question. Yes, I see people who have viewed my profile but want to be anonymous. Yeah, how does that work? Well, Nancy, I think you're part of our program. We'll cover that in coaching. The bottom line is there's a setting that says that you're anonymous. Now, when they do that, though, they can't see who's visited their profile. So, you know, LinkedIn is like, well, this is what happens. This is what you get. You know, you don't get to see, you know, you don't want people to see you. You don't get to see anybody else. So if you turn that feature off, you don't get to see the people that actually, you know, are allowing you to be seen. So that's the only thing there. Yes, we're going to send you. Oh, yes, I did tell you. I'd tell you about so we use slideshare.net, which is a very cool thing where you guys can put your brochures and videos and things like that into in your PowerPoints into your profile. So we're going to send you a link to these slides on slideshare.net, and then you're going to get an email from Citrix that says view the recording. Yes, okay, so someone's asking me about the checkout page, so I just want to go here real quick. So if you look here and you go in, and again, with Profile Coach, right, so make sure this is the only ticket, this ticket type will disappear on Monday, but you have like the $47 and there's no additional fees, and then you basically just click order now and you're ready to go. So this will tell you, and this will get you into both live classes plus the entire package that we talked about. So, and that's only for you people, right? Not everybody else. So we want to make sure you guys exclusively get this for spending your time with us. Now, what other questions, Stephen, did I miss? Okay, so on conversion, right, on conversion, oh, just what I talked about with converting people out of your network. So what I was talking about there was with a conversation. So like I said, pretend you're in the room with somebody, right? Just like a conversation. I want to make sure that you're at that point where you're carrying the conversation if you're out of the room to online, and if you're online, you want to go in the room. So you want to keep it tight and crisp, and you want to keep it to the point where you're having that conversation. You really want to meet that person and talk to that person. I don't care if they're in a big group. You get into that discussion, and then you convert it to a phone call and say, hey, I love this conversation. Could you spend a few minutes with me on the phone? I'd love to talk more about this on Friday or Monday. Remember, they're hungry for a conversation because they put it out there. They put that discussion out there because they want to talk to people. So don't cheat them of that, and don't cheat yourself by having all these ideas like, well, you know, what I have to say doesn't matter, I'm not good enough, you know, things like that. I'm telling you, we will break you through that. Just get into our classes and we'll rock and roll you. So that's linkedin123.eventbrite.com. Hope to see you all in those next classes and in our weekly coaching sessions. It's a lot of fun. So with that being said, I have to jump off because we have a batch of our advanced sales students for LinkedIn coming in here in a few minutes. And I just want to thank everybody for joining us from Chicago to all over the world. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you in class and looking amazing online. Take care, everybody.
The organizer has